Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Dr. Markan Saikia's talk on foreign affairs. These days all the TV channels, newspapers and discussion forums and any other, you know, talking places are full of the conflict between Israel and Hamas. But this is just the beginning. This is the tip of the iceberg, you know, and the entire history goes back to the conflict between Israel and Palestine. So I just wanted to bring it to you, a small and precise talk about the background of the whole conflict, wherein we can look into various events that really shaped what is happening today in between Israel and the Hamas, or you can say Israel and Palestine. Okay, friends, the ancient homeland of the Jews was the land around Jerusalem. The Jews were later expelled, and by the 20th century, most Jews lived elsewhere in Europe, the US, and Russia. The land now called Palestine had for many years been part of the Ottoman Empire. Right? The Jews' desire to return led to a long conflict with the people living there. It's very natural. They were looking for their land, and the people, those who were living there, were fighting back with the Jews. Right? Most Palestinians were Arabs. Small number of Jews, known as Zionists, began to settle in Palestine in the 1880s. In 1917, Britain declared its support for a Jewish homeland in Palestine. This was the beginning, and the entire trouble started from there. The Ottoman Empire was breaking up following Turkey's defeat in World War I. The League of Nations that was created in the year 1919 gave Britain its mandate or permission to rule Palestine in the short term. Jews continued to settle in Palestine, especially when, in the 1930s, the Nazis in Germany, under the leadership of Hitler, began to persecute German Jews. That was a harrowing time. The Jews started leaving Germany one after another, right, to escape imprisonment or murder. Those Jews who could begin to leave Germany. Some went to other European countries or to the US. Others came down to Palestine. The growing number of immigrants led to fighting between Jews and the Arabs, and Britain tried to restrict the number of settlers allowed in there in the land called Palestine. After World War II, many more Jews wanted to move to Palestine. Britain took the matter to the United Nations, and in 1947, it was decided to split Palestine into two states, one Jewish and the other Arab. Jerusalem would become international since it was sacred to Jews, Muslims, and Christians. The Jews agreed to this, but the Arabs did not. Naturally, Britain gave up its mandate on May 14, 1948, and on the same day, the Jewish leader David Ben-Gurion announced the founding of the State of Israel. The Arab League, consisting of Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, Iran, Jordan, and Egypt, declared war on Israel. Israel quickly defeated them, gaining more land inside Palestine. Friends, this is how the whole story of Israel Palestine started. And even today, this conflict goes on. It is one of the most recent and long-standing conflict in the history of international politics of today. Now, there are certain personalities. They became historic or more famous in this entire conflict. Let me tell you about three of them. T.E. Lawrence, known as Lawrence of Arabia, was a British soldier who helped to lead an Arab revolt against the Ottoman Empire during World War I. After that war, many Arabs hoped to see a new Arab nation to include Palestine, but this did not happen. This has not happened even till date. Next personality I'll be telling you about David Ben Gurion, a Polish-born who immigrated to Palestine in 1906. He was known as the father of the nation of Israel, who became the first prime minister of Israel on its creation on 14th May 1948. Next, Golda Meir. She was Israel's prime minister from 1969 to 1974. Born in Russia, she lived in the US as a child and moved to Palestine in 1921. Friends, since 1948, Israeli Defense Forces, known as IDF, have been on constant alert against attack from Palestinian forces so far. Israel's neighbors became its enemies, refusing to recognize the new Jewish state. In turn, Israel refused to acknowledge Palestinian land claims. The very sad part of the whole tragedy is that another very important aspect of the whole conflict is the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. It's a Jewish place for prayer. After 1948, the wall was in the part of the city held by Jordan. Israel regained the wall and that particular part in 1967 and claimed all Jerusalem as its capital. Finding a future for Jerusalem that satisfies all has proved very difficult. Even today, it seems very, very difficult for the Jews. Now, finally, I wanted to give you the timeline very briefly, marking one of the most historic and critical incidents that happened in the creation of the nation called Israel, or a state called Israel. 1840, what happened? After brief rule by Egypt, Palestine becomes a part of the Ottoman Empire again. 1882, first Zionist settlement established in Palestine. 1917, the Balfour Declaration supports a Jewish homeland in Palestine. 1920, the Treaty of Sevres ends the Ottoman Empire. 1922, Britain is given the mandate to govern Palestine. 1929, first major conflict between Jews and the Arabs started. 1933, persecution of the Jews begins in Germany under the leadership of Adolf Hitler. 1939, Britain agrees to restrict the number of Jews emigrating to Palestine. 1947, the United Nations votes to divide Palestine. 1948, on May 14, the state of Israel is founded and the Arab League declares war against Israel. 1949, a UN negotiated ceasefire leaves Israel with a territory given to it in 1947. So friends, this is how the Israel-Palestine conflict unfolded, starting formally from 1948. But today, what we have seen is another tragic and landmark incident in the history of the creation of Israel. The tragedy goes on. It's an unfolding tragedy, what we have seen today in the conflict between Israel and the Hamas. Rather, we can say the conflict between Israel and Palestine. Thank you for watching me. Kindly share, subscribe, and like my videos. I'll be bringing you some of the most important aspects of this conflict in my next videos. Till then, please watch my videos and also please watch my other two channels. One is Dr. Markan Saikya's talk on national affairs. Other is Political Science by Dr. Markan. Thank you for all your support. Keep supporting me so that I can also support you. Bye-bye.